to start using that citrus strip on the Model 95 Hatsan stock today, since everything else was waiting on other things to finish restoring and all. And this stuff is working slow. At least it don't smell bad. It does smell orangey. Here's what it looks like. The stuff dries kind of looking like paste wax on car paint. But yeah, I had to put it, after half an hour later, it started drying like paste wax. And it's kind of whitish. And I had to smear some more citrus strip over it, and I accidentally knocked the jar over. Oh goody. Made a mess there. Good thing I laid down that heavy plastic. It's like 10 mil plastic. And you got to take a scrubbing pad like some oh come on, like some of these Scotch-Brite pads. Soak it in. You soak it in citrus strip to see if you can get the stuff to start coming off, the stain to start coming off, and then you just go from there and then use like a brush, like the little brass brushes I got here, and mineral spirits to get it out of the details, like the checkering and everything. So we'll see how well that works later on. We've got to get this spray stain off this thing first. And this one from the 95 is actually Turkish walnut, but it's the lighter outer wood. The inner wood's more like Western red cedar. Like the color of the stain on the beechwood stocks used on Striker 1000X. But first we got to get the thing stripped and all the stain off, and then with the mineral spirits and brushes and whatever have you, and then you've got to rinse it with water and then let it hang up to dry. So we'll be doing that for a while after we get this thing stripped. And here's the rig I used. The plastic, 10 mil plastic doubled up underneath of it for the stuff to drip on, that citrus strip. And I kicked over the bottle anyway, trying to brush it on. That foam paintbrushes don't work. They get real limp and floppy real fast, and then they start to dissolve and fall apart. I lay that citrus strip on pretty thick too, and I let it sit for like a total of an hour. And this is after I initially scraped it. And then got out the mineral spirits and all kind of scrubbing pads and brass brushes and stuff like that for the checkering, to get in there and try to wipe it down. You can see here where I was wiping it, I got more of the stuff off. It also kind of shows what it would look like if it was clear coated or true oiled or something. Little indication there. So you gotta let the mineral spirits flash off. And here you can see it's starting to dry. Took the checkering longer to dry out though. It slowly does, and here's some stubborn spots here. I'm going to sand it. This is with medium sandpaper here. First of all, burned one whole, the only whole sheet I had, sanding that to get all the spots off and stuff like that. And it's starting to look a little better. I was using my parts cleaning brush I use on the desk and keyboard and junk here to sweep the dust off of it and wipe it down with a paper towel. And it's just hard to get around the checkering too without messing it up, or sanding off those little grooves, little etched lines around the edges of them. Start to see some grain there finally. Got nice grain. And the top, I started working on sanding that down. And here I'm at the point where I used 400 grit sandpaper, a couple pieces of that. Got the spots off and start evening out the tone and everything, from this stuff that was underneath. Real hard to get off. But I'm getting it. Now here's some chunks of Turkish walnut. Looks like the burl wood they get from the taproot, but it's been wetted on top, and on the sides where it's dry, it looks like the same tone as my Hatsan 95 stock. Seen here after its final sanding. Got to clean it up on the inside, but on the outside it's done. So you can see the grain streaks, darker grain streaks, more like a black walnut has. And this is the lighter Turkish walnut. Here I used a Dremel with the stainless wire wheel on the inside there to clean off and that on the end of the forks to make a couple of test patches for true oil. Done with a Q-tip. You can see it right there. Here's a close-up, and that patch actually got a little darker, more like on the outside of the fork there as it dried. Now here it looks like the wood has a natural medium walnut tone. Besides the sealer and the two darker stains they used on this thing at the factory, filling the pores in the grain real nice, so it gives a really nice antique-y kind of touch. But definitely medium walnut. And you get right on the end there, you can see the grain figuring. There's more of that in the buttstock, and it's going to look really striking. So that's perfect. It's just that's better than what I was hoping for. Now here, you get that nutty amber glow from the flash, more like you see it in those chunks of Turkish burl wood, the taproot part of the tree. It's a lot like my 160 pellet gun here with the tone and everything. And here from Harbor Freight we have my new miter box and back saw, $11.99. That was pretty good. And you can see there it's even got a clear edge cover for the teeth. And here we're lining up the stocks. My son was helping me look from the top down on the other side and get all this stuff lined up to mark off where we need to cut the forks. And here you can see, once you get everything lined up, that the 1000X's buttstock is about 1.5 inches longer than the Model 95. And we'll just have to work with it. And here you can see where I penciled in the lines, and at the angle you have to hold that to make the saw cut, the angle slots there work. And here again you can see how to line it up. And that's what it looks like with initial fitment. It pretty much just drops right in. Not bad. But here you can see I need a little more relief for the safety switch, which will come back further when the rifle is cocked. So I need a bit more relief for that. And the trigger guard for the 1000X action has to be about 1/8 of an inch further forward. Now I have to redrill the front hole and put a plate on the back so everything clamps down tight. You can see there from bottom view. And you can also see there, after dropping the action in, I could have left the forks about 1/2 inch longer. So note to self, drop the action in first and eyeball it instead of trying to line the stocks up and look at where to cut it. Now here, I used a 6-inch machine file to deburr the edges where I cut the forks down. Get a nice little bevel going there and get the sharp edges off. That'll be smoothed out over the course of sanding it all down. Okay, well that's it for part 2. I gotta get some plug cutters and little things like that to finish the inletting and moving the forestock screws forward and upward. you have to be at an upward like 30-degree angle versus straight in and lower on the Model 95. But, oh, and as you saw, trigger guards got to go forward about 1/8 of an inch, so everything lines up with the action with the striker action. But looking pretty good. You know, where the darker spots are from finger handling and, you know, the air, greasy cooking in the kitchen, floating around the house, and everything settles on the wood and starts aging again, so you gotta sand it down again. I'll also get out my checkering tools and redo this border right here to sharpen that up from sanding and all. And unfortunately, the 1000X red, white, and black butt pad and plates don't fit this one. They stop about that short. This is a little wider back here, even though it doesn't have the Monte Carlo cheek piece. But essentially, it's together. And I could have made these two left. You can see from what you see right here, I could have left the forks a 1/2 inch longer. Note to self: fit the barreled action in the stock first, so you can actually see where you really need to cut it versus where old stock versus new stock looks like you should cut it. I measured them up from this slot back here and this rounded piece here up to here and all of that, and it still came up about a 1/2 inch short. Not bad though. This butt stock being about 1.5 inches short or so shorter than the 1000X, you can still get a quick eye relief. Once you've done it for so long, I guess it just gets to be second nature. So, having that done, we will, in part 3, we'll try to finish up the inletting, and hopefully by then I can have some plug cutters. I think these 4 stock holes in the 95 are 7/16. So I will take the pieces of the forks I cut off. I'll save these for cutting plugs to fill the screw holes with and whatnot like that, so I can sand that down and fill that in, and I can re-drill the holes to fit the 1000X action. So I guess that's about it till next time. I've been working on. I started working on this video last April, and I got sidetracked with other things and adding to my collection and bidding wars and all that sort of thing. So we'll get back to this one, and then we'll get on the 760 Power Master Variant 4 from January '77, because that one will need the least amount of work to restore. This one here is coming along real nice though, as you can see. That's going to be real nice, right aside of Turkish walnut, but nice nevertheless. So, good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We'll see you again.